America First Legal just uncovered documents that will blow your mind. Did you know that the Department of Homeland Security advisory group labeled Trump supporters, military personnel, and even religious folks as potential domestic terrorists? I'm not kidding. Today, I want to get into these newly discovered revelations, who's involved, and what it means for all of us. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, if you thought the government couldn't get any crazier, then you don't know the level of their motivations. Internal documents from DHS have surfaced thanks to America First Legal, and they are Orwellian. So here's the scoop. The Department of Homeland Security formed a group called the Homeland Intelligence Experts Group back in September 2023. Their mission? To provide expert analysis on issues like terrorism and fentanyl trafficking. Sounds legit, right? But wait till you hear who's on this board. It's a list of usual suspects from the left. James Clapper, John Brennan, and Paul Colby. Yeah, the same people who once claimed that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. The same guys who lied to Congress by committing perjury during their testimony, nothing whatsoever happened to them. For example, John Brennan lied to Congress about his CIA spying on Republican senators. He was finally forced to admit he did it in another hearing, and again, nothing happened to him. He never lost his job. He never had charges brought up against him. He never even had that 4 a.m. raid on his home by the FBI. And that's one of the tamer things that he has done. So back to this new discovery. According to these internal documents, this group actually categorized supporters of former President Trump, military personnel, and religious people of faith as potential domestic terrorism threats. That's right, guys. If you believe in God, served in the U.S. military, or supported Trump, you might be on their watch list. Now, the documents also cited unnamed studies, of course, to back their claims. They suggested that being in the military or being religious are indicators of extremism and terrorism. And how can they run the military if they believe that? Interestingly, research from the Rand Corporation in 2023, the same year, found that military personnel are actually less likely to endorse extremist movements than average Americans. So why focus on our troops? Could it be a diversion for something bigger? Could it be that military members don't support government being weaponized against the citizens, and therefore the weaponizers put their targets on their backs? Remember the January 6th riot? Of course you do, because the Democrats will never let you forget it. They want America to believe that some 70+ million Trump voters are all violent extremists because of that, including those who were never at the Capitol that day and condemned the riot. It's called propaganda. Well, following the J6 events, 15 Democratic legislators signed a letter in 2021 urging action against what they called violent extremism in the military. That's really painting with a broad brush, isn't it? Did you ever hear that on CNN or MSNBC? Was it a hidden gem secret? But here's where it gets pretty chilling. On Thursday, America First Legal released the first set of damning documents which reveal the committee's aim to ramp up information gathering on Americans. They even encouraged mothers and teachers to report kids suspected of extremism under the guise of public health. Sounds like a dystopian novel, doesn't it? The committee highlighted the DHS's See Something, Say Something campaign from the post 9/11 days. Are you kidding me? You know, that one that encouraged everybody to spy on each other for potential threats? Only this time, like all dictatorships, it seems they're focusing more on their political opponents. Isn't it something when you hear Joe Biden or other elected Democrats talk about how MAGA extremists are preparing for an attack? We heard low IQ Maxine Waters saying more than once that MAGA extremists are up in the mountains training for a violent assault.
To tell us what they're going to do to protect this country against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack.
He never tells us which mountain. I'd like to go visit and see what they're doing. The problem with this is no Democrat ever shows proof of anything they're saying. There's a word for what they are saying. It's called lying. They are lying just like they are lying about Trump going to be a dictator, and they're fabricating things he will do if elected. Meanwhile, neither Trump nor anyone in his orbit ever once uttered a single word to lend credence to their predictions, or should I say fabrications. Now, thanks to a lawsuit from America First Legal and Richard Grinnell, the former acting director of national intelligence under Trump, this controversial panel has been shut down. The lawsuit argued that the group violated the Federal Advisory Committee Act, which sets the rules for how these advisory committees should operate. But like every other time this administration has been shut down on something illegal it was doing, they find other ways to carry out the same actions until they get caught again. Now, Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch didn't mince words when he tweeted about America First Legal's findings. He called out the Biden regime for labeling Trump supporters as domestic terrorists. He tweeted, "Incredible, but also unsurprising. If the Biden regime wants to jail Trump for political reasons, it is no surprise they would consider his supporters enemies of the state." Think about that. Trump always says, one of his calling cards is, they're not after me, they're after you, but I'm just standing in their way. Well, there you go. Tom Fitton just said that, basically. Now, Gene Hamilton, the executive director of America First Legal, also spoke out, emphasizing that all Americans should be worried about these documents and the effort to weaponize the government against political opponents. Guys, we're talking about the majority of people watching this video. We're talking about your neighbors, your friends, family members, your children, people you know from church, right? My church is very pro-Trump, and I can't imagine anyone from the congregation being a domestic terrorist. Yet they are being labeled as such by the people who have weaponized our government. You see how that works? And here's the thing. Both Brennan and Clapper signed a letter in 2020 claiming that the contents found in Hunter Biden's laptop were part of a Russian disinformation campaign. It's unbelievable. The kicker here is that at that point, they hadn't even seen what was on it. And we recently discovered that after the story was broken by the New York Post, Antony Blinken, who was a foreign policy advisor for Biden's 2020 presidential campaign, well, he was the one who wrote the letter that was sent out to current and former U.S. intelligence officials, asking them to sign the letter agreeing that the laptop story was Russian disinformation. Now, I happen to know that neither Joe Biden nor Antony Blinken saw what was on the damn laptop. So how could he write that letter, and why would they all sign it? Well, TDS, pretty much. For his role in that, Biden made him Secretary of State. He now holds the second most important position in the Biden administration, pushing for and defending America's foreign policy agenda, which has been disastrous so far. So tell me in the comments below what you think about our federal government spying on Americans, on Trump supporters, on members of our military, and on religious folks. All right. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button and get ready, because that culture war is actually heating up. See you in the next one.
We just want to beat them, parents who are speeding. Every turn, every stand, breathe from within. Playing dirty, playing